Good afternoon and welcome to another InvestorIdeas.com podcast, looking at cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from thought leaders and experts. Today we are looking at announcements from Cannabis Wheaton Income Corporation, trading on the TSX Venture as CBW, ICC Labs Incorporated, trading on the TSX Venture under ICC, WeedMD Incorporated, trading on the TSX Venture as WMD, and on the OTC as WDDMF, as well as MYM Nutraceuticals Incorporated, trading on the CSE under MYM. First, looking at Cannabis Wheaton Income Corporation, who announced the closing of its previously announced bought deal public offering of 82 million units of the company at a price of $1.40 per unit for gross proceeds of $115 million. The syndicate of underwriters for the offering was led by BMO Capital Markets, together with AltaCorp Capital Incorporated, Mackey Research Capital Corporation, and Infor Financial Incorporated. The company plans to use the net proceeds from the offering for capital expenditures relating to domestic and international operations and capacity expansion for potential new investment opportunities and for general working capital purposes. Next, looking at ICC Labs Incorporated, who announced that it has filed its interim financial results for the first quarter of this year. The financial statements are available on the System for Electronic Document Analysis and Retrieval, CEDAR, at cedar.com, and on the ICC Labs website at icclabs.com. During the first quarter of the year, the company continued to take steps to expand its footprint in the Latin American market and to gain access to the European and Canadian markets. The company's investment in the global group Calapa SL, a Spanish company based in Barcelona, is part of ICC Labs' strategy to gain a foothold in the European markets, and in particular with respect to the B2B distribution channels for the company's Biddy Oil branded CBD oil and other products it intends to sell. This investment remains subject to the TSX Venture Exchange approval. Having obtained all medical cannabis production licenses currently available in Colombia, ICC Labs became the first company to become fully licensed in 2 low-cost jurisdictions in Latin America. Further, in Colombia, the company continues to build its 124,000 square foot greenhouse to grow THC plants and prepare for its first outdoor hemp crop of 250 acres that expects to commence showing in June, also subject to approval from the TSX Venture. The company also has proceeded with its construction of the CO2 extraction laboratory in Uruguay, which it has an expected annual capacity of 150,000 kilograms of dry flowers and is being built in accordance with the International Good Manufacturing Practices guidelines. The company expects the laboratory to be completed by the end of July. In the interim, the company has completed the construction of a temporary extraction laboratory in Uruguay where its first CBD extracts will be produced. Next, looking at WeedMD Incorporated, who is a federally licensed producer and distributor of medical cannabis, who has reported its financial and operating results for the first quarter of this year. The company reported revenues of $114 million, with sales up 33%. The revenues consisted of the sales of dry medical cannabis, live cannabis plants, and cannabis oils to both patients and through wholesale B2B channels. The company also maintained a strong cash balance of $48 million as of the end of the quarter. Other highlights from the quarter included closing the previously announced oversubscribed $34.5 million bought deal, equity financing, and commencing the sale of cannabis oil products under the company's Entourage and Access brands. The company also appointed Kevin McGovern, chairman of McGovern Capital and founder of the beverage company Sobe, as a board of director, as well as Dr. Jonas Vanderswan, a physician from more than 15 years of primary care experience, as medical director and chair of the clinical advisory board. The rest of the company's financial and operational results can be found on their website as well as CEDAR. Next, going to MYM Nutraceuticals Inc., who announced the hiring of Joel Lancelet, master grower at the company's 1.5 million square foot medical cannabis greenhouse facility currently under construction in Wheaton, Quebec. Mr. Lancelet brings with him 13 years of experience in the greenhouse industry. He's an integrated operator who has been a leader in establishing numerous greenhouses business, and his most recent experience saw him establish himself as one of Quebec's largest producers of microgreens. Finally, we look at Wellcan Capital, a cannabis-based venture capital firm, who announced the launch of its first impact investment fund focused on bolstering the cannabis industry and addressing the challenges and injustices stemming from the cannabis prohibition. Leveraging a people plus purpose plus profits philosophy, the new fund will invest in 4 core verticals across plant touching and ancillary businesses in the cannabis sector. mainly business services, emerging technology, software, and licensing operations. The lack of institutional capital in the space creates a compelling opportunity for investors, said Vikas Desai, partner at Wellcan Capital. Our focus is to drive performance while also playing a vital role in the shaping of the future of key issues today, mainly sustainability, medicinal research, criminal justice reform, and our nation's opioid crisis. That's all for today's podcast. As always, Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the investorideas.com website. And this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment.